Welcome to the Dystopian Dilemma, where we explore the dark and often bleak worlds of some of literature's most popular and enduring dystopian novels. Today, we're talking about one of the most well-known and influential dystopian novels of all time, 1984 by George Orwell.
First published in 1949, 1984 is set in a world where society is controlled by a tyrannical and oppressive government that seeks to control every aspect of its citizens' lives. The novel follows the story of Winston Smith, who's a low-ranking member of the ruling party, who becomes disillusioned with the government and begins secretly rebelling against it.
One of the most notable aspects of 1984 is its use of a totalitarian government to control its citizens. In this world, the government monitors and controls every aspect of people's lives, from their thoughts and beliefs to their actions and behavior. The government uses a number of methods to maintain this control, including propaganda, censorship, and surveillance.
The novel opens with a description of the world of 1984, which is divided into three superstates: Oceania, Eurasia, and East Asia. Oceania, where the novel is set, is ruled by the Party, which is led by a mysterious figure known only as Big Brother. The party maintains its control over the population through a number of measures, including constant surveillance of its citizens through telescreens, which are installed in every home, office, and public space.
In our lives, when we think about a government that constantly watches their people, the first one to pop up would be China. China uses a lot of the same strategy used in 1984 to control people. They use propaganda billboards, they censor outside information, they create false narratives through the news. They use internet filters and online censorship. And all of these methods are how the Chinese government kind of keeps their citizens in the dark about a lot of world issues, which makes it a lot easier for them to control their population.
Yeah, actually, this is very similar to what George Orwell was kind of afraid of happening in the real world, because he, wrote this book as sort of a scare tactic towards the Soviets and communism and this sort of worldview they wanted, and said, well, this is how the world will go. So it's a little interesting.
All right, so much like 1984 in China, even though the people have the right to free speech, they're not allowed to talk out against the government. The people that do end up speaking out against the government, they're basically like we saw in the news, taken out by the police and imprisoned. And so it's the same thing in 1984. The people disappear, and so that's a similarity that can also be drawn between China and the book 1984.
Yeah, I mean, it brings us up with a good example in Tiananmen Square, where there's protests and the Chinese government quite literally just comes in and massacres an entire large group of people. And then the government censors it and sort of rewrites history to say that didn't happen. And it sort of just wraps us up with how 1984 and uh, different communist countries actually have a bit of similarities, exactly what, again, George Orwell was scared of. But it also leads us quickly to another key aspect of the novel: its use of language as a tool of control. The government in the book 1984 created its own version of the English language called Newspeak, which is designed to make it impossible to think or speak out against the government. As the novel progressed, we could see how Newspeak was used to control its citizens and suppress dissent. So, what do you guys think about this idea of using language to control thought? Like, would it work?
All right, so censorship of language can definitely change the way that we see the world, as it can limit our ability to access certain information and perspectives. Um, so when certain words or ideas are censored, I think it can make it a lot more difficult for people to fully understand and engage what's going on in the world around them. An example of this is if a government censors information about human rights, it may be a lot more difficult for individuals to fully understand the extent of the situation and take action to address it. Um, Censorship can also limit our ability to have open and honest discussions about important issues. Um, so as individuals, they may be afraid to speak out or express their true thoughts and feelings. Um, so yeah, censorship. of language can have a significant impact on how we see the world and our ability to engage with it.
Yeah, and we see this actually a lot in 1984 and sort of the way kids act versus the adults. Kids are very bought into this idea and they're using a bunch of different aspects of the society around them to incriminate parents, to move around, to act in certain ways, like in Hate Week. And it really makes you think because in Newspeak, they sort of restricted the amount of words in a language rather than, I guess, changing everything. So, I mean, what would restricting the amount of words in a language do to communication?
Yeah, so the words that are available in a language, they have a significant impact on the way we think and the way we perceive the world. When a language lacks certain words or concepts, it makes it more difficult for people to really understand certain ideas or experiences. An example of this is a language. If the language does not have a word for a particular emotion, it can be difficult for people to talk about what's on their mind and accurately describe their feelings and thoughts. So, in some cases, the lack of certain words may even affect the way that individual thinks about or perceives the world around them. Another example is that if a language does not have words for certain colors, it may be difficult for individuals who speak that language to accurately perceive or describe colors.
Yeah, it's actually funny you say that because in psychology the other day, this was mentioned in someone's presentation. There's actually like a tribe that's in Brazil or something, I think, and they found that they didn't have a language or a word in their language for the color blue, but they had like seven or so different words for the color green. So it made it really easy for them to uh, tell apart greens, but they couldn't like find the blue in a circle of greens or something like that.
That's actually very interesting, and I actually had a question. I was pretty curious about how practical or beneficial it would be to actually switch up a whole language, because that's a pretty big task. So, what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I mean, switching up an entire population's language would likely be a difficult and time consuming process, to say the least. It would require a significant amount of resources and effort to implement, and there would likely be many challenges and obstacles along the way. Like, there could be a bunch of people who resist it, find the change difficult to learn the new language, while the resistance isn't too much of an issue in Oceania because, they don't want to get vaporized or unpersoned or however they say it in Newspeak. um, it's just it could be difficult for a lot of people. Also, during the transition period, there could be confusion in communication, um, and the switch would cause disruptions in like commerce, education, other areas of society, unless there was complete segregation between the people who are newly being born and the people who haven't yet been able to fully learn the new language. So, while theoretically possible, it would be a horribly terrible, no good process.
Yeah, you'd have to have a very strong government and a very good plan to actually move forward with something like that.
Yeah, so in order to sort of, I guess, test their sort of theory in 1984, where they were changing the English language, which everyone already knew, rather than creating an entirely new language, I'd like to invite my sister on to sort of try and define these Newspeak terms that we've gathered for her, about 7 Newspeak terms, and see how good she can do at defining them without any prior knowledge of 1984.
All right, so we have Roland's sister here as a guest. Say hi, Jordan.
Hello.
Okay, so basically what we're gonna be doing here, we're gonna be giving Jordan 7 Newspeak terms, and we're gonna see if she can um, guess what they mean. All right,
Can I know what
so,
newspeak means before I learn the
oh yeah, yeah,
newspeak
yeah. Okay,
terms?
so basically, in the book we're reading,
Uh-huh.
the government book we're reading is 1984.
Yeah.
The government is trying to control its population, and one of the ways they're doing this is they're creating sort of an altered form of English
Uh,
called Newspeak, and
okay.
they're basically removing words in the English language and making them shorter so people can't think as much. They don't have enough
Okay,
words
okay,
to
okay.
to think, right?
So literally like shortening words or like
Yeah,
simply
shortening words,
choosing the
combining words.
Okay,
Uh,
okay.
yeah, and the
Just
idea is giving people less room to think and rebel.
okay, so just simplifying the language as much as possible. Okay, got it.
Yeah. All right. So starting off with an easy one. What do you think ungood means?
Uh, well, I'm gonna have to say it means not good. Oh god, you can't say easy
Yeah.
one. I'm not good at words and stuff. I was like, it's gonna be the easy one. I'm not even gonna get it. Well, I
Yeah.
get that
So
one. Yeah, not good,
yeah,
bad,
ungood. Yeah, bad. There you go.
ungood. I feel like they could have just made it bad, right? Like ungood. You could have just been bad.
Yeah. Well, they chose ungood.
I gotta be
All
in charge
right.
of this. I'm gonna simplify the words now. Okay, what's
And
the next
then
one?
the second word, old speak. What do you think old speak
Old
means?
speak. Like how old people talk, how old people talk, or old speak. It's like referring to like how people used to talk.
Yeah, that you're pretty close there. So old speak is standard English.
Ah,
The old English, the English we speak, right?
yes, yeah.
New speak is based off of old speak. So yeah, it old speak, it's basically with all words
So
that represent unpi. Yeah.
it's kind of how old
Anyway,
people talk in a way. I was kind
yeah,
of right
yeah,
with the first one. Thank you, Roland, for
yeah.
the
You're
words of
close.
encouragement.
That's very
All
close.
right, John, hit her with the next one.
All right, the next word is own life.
Own life. My life? Own life? Yeah, your own life. Like my life.
It's pretty
Um,
close. It's individualism and uh yeah, basically in individualism.
Oh,
A desire to do something for your
yeah.
own benefit. So like something for yourself, not for the party. It's not good.
Uh, okay. Oh, so it's like a bad word?
Yeah, bad
Oh,
word.
okay, that makes more sense. I was like, if you're dumbing down the language, why would you even include that idea in your new language? Just get rid of it. But if
Right,
it's a
right.
bad thing, then I got you. Okay. That was kind of right. I kind of got there.
Kinda. All right, John.
the
Next
next
one.
word's think pole.
What?
It has to do with the book.
Think poll?
Yeah.
Is it is it a poll where you go to think by any chance?
No, I think
Uh,
it's harder to get. It's the police force in charge of eliminating crime think.
Oh, crime
right,
So
think.
right. So
Crime
basically,
think poll.
it's
This
it's 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 the word for the thought police. And the thought police are basically police that stop you from committing crime think, which is
Oh,
basically
the
when you
thought
think about doing
police.
bad things. So they try to catch you thinking bad thoughts.
That.
Thought police, they monitor the public by spying
Uh,
on them. They use screens, all that.
and so
They're
the
they're
think
they're big
poll is a
spies.
part of them. Got it. Got it.
All right. The next word is belly feel.
What is belly feel? Belly
Belly feel.
feel.
Give me your best guess.
Is it is it how your body feels? Like if like your body's feeling bad or good?
Think more emotional.
Emotional. Belly. See, no, that doesn't. I don't think that one helps me. Belly feel. Think emotional. Um. Belly feel. Think emotional. Oh, is it like a gut feeling?
Not quite. It's basically full emotional understanding.
Full
Um,
emotional understanding. Belly
and
feel.
blind enthusiastic acceptance of a concept.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
So
kind
you
of.
bas
No, it's not.
yeah, not yeah, not really. Not really.
I'll take the L on that one. That was.
Just wait till it
All
hits.
right. And then the next one, duck speak.
Duck speak. Duck speak. Duck speak is nonsense. Is it nonsense? Like speaking
Oh,
nonsense?
kind of. It's to speak without thinking.
Ah, so it's speaking
Yeah,
nonsense. I'm a
yeah.
genius. Because ducks sound like nonsense.
Yeah, it can either be good or bad in the context of the book, depending on who's speaking
Mm.
and whose side you're on, but yeah. All right, John, hit us with the last one.
all right, this one you probably won't get. Unperson.
Unperson. Unperson is when it's when you don't conform to society, and so you lose your right to be a person.
It's very close, actually. It's an unperson is basically a person that's been erased from existence by the government for breaking the law.
I'm a
So
flippin' genius. I literally
yeah,
got that
so
right. Wow.
yeah, in the novel, if you break the law somehow,
Uh-huh.
you basically get like vaporized. You get erased from history, all your records gone. That person never existed. And
Dang.
if you ask like anybody who knew that person about that person, they'll say, "Who?"
Who?
You know? They
Dang.
never existed.
That's wild. See, you know how
Yeah.
I got that one from that video game. What's it called? You know, the one with the masks and all the happy people.
No.
We few something. Oh,
Okay,
I don't remember. You should look it up.
We have a quick question for you at the end. If there was an entire dictionary filled with stuff like this, just such language, where it's English but it's sort of just not,
Mm-hmm.
right? What do you think the practicality would be of sort of switching from English as their base language in Oceania, the place this book takes place, over to Newspeak? Do you think it'd be feasibly possible? Yes, no.
Have you ever watched someone over the age of 50 try to speak internet language? Because that's what this is. Trying to understand acronyms, trying to understand references that are buried in like deep like repetitiveness. Try looking at someone who's over the age of 50 and having them explain what pog means. So I think there's a level of like it can be done, it can be explained, but it's going to be difficult, right? And it's not going to be very practical in a way. But to be fair, if your government is threatening to vaporizing you from existence, then I think there's a bit of a motive there.
Right, so you're saying it's possible.
Yeah, I think it's possible. You know, re-education is it happens. It is possible. We can look at our real life history and find examples of that. So I think it
All
could
right.
happen.
All right. Well, thanks for hopping on.
No problem. Okay, I'll hand the headphones back to Roland then.
The novel presents a bleak vision of a future society in which government exerts total control over its citizens, manipulating their thoughts and actions through propaganda, surveillance, and violence. The novel raises important questions about the nature of power and control, and how individuals can resist these forces in order to maintain their autonomy and dignity. In our contemporary world, we can see echoes of Orwell's vision in the proliferation of surveillance technologies, the rise of authoritarian governments, and the manipulation of information by powerful actors. These developments highlight the continued relevance of 1984 and its cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked power. Overall, Orwell's novel remains a powerful and thought-provoking work, offering a warning about the dangers of allowing our society to be controlled by a few powerful individuals or institutions. Its message is as relevant today as when it was first published, and it serves as a reminder of the importance of standing up for our individual rights and liberties.